Premium, free with Xfinity Internet.
Horsepower. Got some polo on. I need horsepower.
Miguel Cabrera is going to play tonight for Giants Tigers.
Javi Baez.
You and the box scores, right? We have kind of a bit box score Bonte.
Yeah.
Can I just give you just 9 years from 2005 to 2013, Miguel Cabrera?
I don't think people realize how good he was.
Okay, his batting average was 327. He hit 320 home runs and drove in over 1,000 RBIs.
Oh, my God.
He's a 310 career hitter, B.
Yeah, he's going straight to the Hall of Fame.
He's one of the most feared. Him and Pujols are on my list. Manny Ramirez at times as well, but the Roids. A-Rod, the list of feared right-hand hitters in my lifetime.
I'm actually surprised he's only had 2 seasons of his career where he hit 40-plus home runs. 44 and 44
because he
walks.
He
does walk.
He went 34, 37, 34,
That's
38, 30, 44, 44, 25, 18, 38. I mean, the guy.
He went 38
on, dude.
at the age of 33.
Come on, man.
Damn. He's got
What's up,
MVPs.
boys?
But is he a star?
Miguel?
I'm messing with you.
Yeah.
I'm messing with you.
What do you think of the Peter Guber sound?
A lot of the greats don't. What was it? Hank Aaron never hit 50, right? And
Yes.
it's just
Accumulator.
just 42,
Yeah.
44, 42, 45, 41, 39. But
They were talking about renaming the Braves to the Hammers. We like that name?
I like anything that makes people stop doing the stupid tomahawk
I'm with
chop
you
in the
there.
stand.
Yeah, exactly.
So if they want to call themselves the Hammers or the Gummy Bears, I really don't care.
I like the Hammer.
But take the
Yeah, I like
tomahawk
Gummy
off your
Bears.
jersey. That's what I would say.
Yeah. Hammers works.
We're playing the gummies today.
Not bad,
Whatever. The Detroit Care Bears and the Giants tonight.
It's time.
6:45.
It's time for the changeover.
Shooting stars out of their chest.
The changeover brought to you by Oakland PD Recruitment. Be the change you want to see. Where do we want to start? You want to go with some NBA, Kyrie,
Hey, man.
Russell Westbrook? You want to go
Use
some
your
Giants?
choice.
Yeah.
You want to go with the Giants hitting the dime?
Choose your own adventure, man.
Debo, where you want to go?
What are you guys hitting on right now?
Well, I was playing that Goober sound where he was talking about.
Yeah, we're going to get into that.
I thought it's good.
It's really good.
You know where?
I know where I want to start. Bonte, why are you so triggered by Colin Cowherd?
Yeah.
Why are you so triggered?
It's odd.
Because this guy always brings up Colin Cowherd like he's a savior to sports talk radio. And I'm like, this guy just says so many. He talks about Jim Rome being scripted. Colin Cowherd is
He is,
just as
but he
scripted.
has good guests and good
but he,
It's different scripted.
different scripted.
One of them's very, very, very prepared.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And so, yes, it's laid out.
Yes.
The other one is literally reading. But anyway,
Yeah.
you can
But
figure out which one is which.
It's not. I mean,
And which one is better? I mean, why does
whatever.
either one offend
They're
you?
both.
Honestly,
You know?
Coward doesn't offend me. He
Both
doesn't offend me.
making
it's more of an
6 to
inside
10
joke.
million a year.
It's more of an inside
Yeah.
joke because
Because
he
I
always
always like,
coward,
this
coward,
is
coward.
look at here, look at there.
Anyway, the
Yeah.
Goober thing I thought was really interesting, and I thought your guys' discussion, which I was listening to on the way in, was really, really interesting as well, because to me there are 4 tiers of teams. And the 2 and the 3 seed is where our discussion is happening
Okay.
right now.
I like this.
Okay? Number 4 is lose without stars.
Yeah.
Okay? Forget that.
2016 Niners.
Number 1 is obvious. That's win with stars.
Warriors.
Okay, 2 and 3.
Yeah.
For me, 3 is lose with stars. And number 2 is win without stars. But that's interchangeable to some people, I guess. Because to me, this all ends up in a chicken or the egg theory. We can talk about the Giants and not understanding the entertainment dollar, and there's a very fair set of points to be made about that right now. That said, just last year with a roster that wasn't really different, I mean, Buster Posey was on it. I don't know if he's an entertainment dollar guy.
Yeah, I don't know about him.
You went walking down the Embarcadero with a flag, and you were very, very entertained.
Absolutely.
Okay? When the Giants played the Dodgers in the playoffs, I think we were entertained.
Absolutely.
Okay,
good
so
series.
that to me, what has to come first? The entertainment, and then you're in, or do you win and that drives your entertainment? Like this team's 39 and 33, and you know their defense has been so bad. If they had cleaned up the defense, and in fact the metrics say if their defense was like it was last year, they'd be maybe 4 games better than they are right now.
Right.
And if they were, what would we be saying? If they were 43-29 right now, would they be more entertaining?
Maybe, maybe not. The way they won last year, though, was very entertaining. The late night
dramatic,
heroics.
yes.
Mike Talkman, we don't say enough about his catches.
Can't really replicate what they, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it was just
and
like,
we
Had
knew
a
that.
We Believe kind of vibe to it because it came out of nowhere.
Let's
Late
just
night
pump the
Lamont.
brakes on that for a minute. I mean,
of course it's not.
They couldn't
like
beat
for
their
like.
rivals. They couldn't get a hit. They lost 2-1 in flaccid fashion. But
well, that's
you know,
I mean, I think
They
that's
beat
being
the
a little
rival in
bit,
the division. They
that's-
lost in the playoffs.
That's falling in. That's being results driven.
yeah,
as
which is what this is all about entertainment wise, because this
But I
team
don't-
is not as entertaining as last year's team because they're not winning as much. And the way, like
That I agree
Bonte
with.
said,
That I
the
agree.
way you're not winning with the Talkman heroics,
Right.
the Yaz Grand Slam, late night Lamont. This team has got what? Backpedaling Austin Slater and Anthony Deesk, Glassfire.
Again, there's a ton of fair points there, but the entertainment dollar is not driven. You buy your ticket without knowing what the result of the game is.
Of course.
Right? A lot
Or
of
who's
people,
playing.
right? Like there were Warrior games this year where people, you bought the ticket, we're going to the Warrior game, and they turned in a stinker.
Sure.
Or they decided to load management or whatever. So, you lose a 2-1 game in the playoffs. We're going to get mad at that now. Last year was a very entertaining year.
Last year, yeah, it was.
Right. So they didn't have any stars then. Not people that I would. When we talk about star, they have notable Buster Posey, but when we talk about stars, they did that without. So my question, I guess, is: were you entertained last year?
Yes, because they won games and the way they won games. This year, they're not winning as many games, and you're not as drawn to show up to even see if they're going to win or lose because the roster is a big, large number of guys you don't know because they're here today and they're gone tomorrow.
Yeah. But are you not bothered by the roster until you see them not winning at a 690 clip? That's kind of my point. And I still think that this is more driven.
As in there's a threshold?
Right. Like if they were 43-29, would we be like, they're cheap? Well, no, they're winning again.
The results kind of shut you up.
I still think there's tons of fair points here, but I still think this is being driven more by money than by baseball. People's the attendance.
Yep.
And I'm actually going to run a test on it tonight. Because I'm gonna go sit in the bleachers.
Okay.
Ooh.
And I
don't do bleachers anymore. They call me Bougie Bonte. I need that back support.
Yeah, I hear you. No, I'm
Get the whole dog.
Giant
You need
head
to
of
work on
his.
that core.
we're going to the bleachers, and this is not based on any data. This is just based on things that I feel like I see when I turn the TV on.
Right.
In the games where they've only got 23,000 on a Tuesday, which is probably what I expect tonight, it feels like the missing seats are in the lower bowl and not in the bleachers. And if the bleachers are full and the lower bowl is not, what does that tell you?
The reverse
It tells you that people are trying to save their money in the process of still wanting to go to the game. So I'm going to run. I'm interested to see what it looks like out there tonight.
Informal poll tonight. I like
Very,
that.
very informal.
Or is it the season ticket holder saying, you know what, I just don't want to go to the game?
Maybe.
It's
Maybe.
both. I think it's both factors. And the season ticket base is down 50% reportedly from last year, which you can kind of see that on TV. And it used to be, 40,000, and maybe the upper corners would be a smattering of emptiness. But now you're lucky to get visually, and I know tickets sold, they're averaging 30 a game, but you might be getting 20 in the building.
Does the corporate angle, not necessarily like tech, Facebook has 7 billion seats. I mean more like John's Lumber or whatever, the construction company. We had a set of seats and we give them out to clients. How many of those kind of accounts are just, we just can't afford those anymore?
And it's also the people who used to come to work.
Yes.
You're not commuting across the Bay Bridge.
Right.
I do every day. And
Shelter from
especially in the summer, a lot fewer people now are actually physically coming to work. So if you work at wherever, pick a place.
My wife works at Levi's.
Mid-market. If you work at 6th and Mission, in the heart of the homeless, I heard you earlier. Shout out Saya Suzuki is incredible. Which, by the way, it's not the same 6th and Mission as it was 30 years ago.
Right.
When we remember 6th and Mission, it's a totally different 6th and Mission.
6 and Market, 6 and Mission.
It still is not the best, but if you work down there, you used to, hey, let's go down to the Giants game because you get off at 5 and it's only 6:45 game, whatever. But now no one's here anymore.
Yeah, like Levi's Plaza. And my wife goes, she's the only one in the office. And there used to be like 300 people in the office. She's there by herself.
But when you don't have stars either, or you don't have entertaining players, people are not going to make that commute across the Bay Bridge or to go to Gay Bridge or come up from the peninsula. And you look, 808 here, Xfinity Mobile Text Line, name one Giant jersey to buy today. Kids want stars and jerseys to buy.
Question.
And so they're rocking GP2 jerseys.
Who's your son's favorite player?
Well, so there's two ways to answer that.
The lefty's got a beautiful swing.
Right now, it's Carlos Rodon, who will throw tonight, so he's excited to go see him.
Nice.
But that's because he's driven by the fact that he's got Rodon on his MLB The Show team.
Okay.
So he roots for Rodon because he wants the Giants to win and because he wants his rating to go up.
Yes, because he owns the card. Yeah.
This is the way a 15-year-old views Major League Baseball. But if I just said, as of last year, he was a Buster Posey guy.
Of course.
He was a Buster Posey. So I think the slot is open. He's taking interviews,
and I'm told
for who's right. He's still taking interviews for who wants the job.
And if you buy a Joey Bart jersey, you actually get the Sacramento jersey with it.
Nice.
It's a 2-for-1.
That's good.
Hey, the River Cats jersey.
Good.
The River Cats jersey is nice. It looks a little bit too much like the Diamondbacks, but it's nice. Yeah. So
sleep at the wheel back there.
Totally.
I mean,
already.
I
just not here.
Yeah,
Boss Man's not here. Crack the whip. You can tell with our show.
With the whole staff.
Was baseball ever like that? When you say like, I'm not going to drive across the bridge to go see blank.
Candlestick. People didn't go to Candlestick. So
You're
when we were growing up.
When the Niners were losing,
but
in
that's
the mid
Niners.
2000s,
That's Niners.
I still wasn't going, and I was a diehard. Like they were coming off the heyday. Jeff Garcia's gone, T.O.'s gone, all
Giants
that stuff.
games.
I was like, my buddy worked at the Stern Style. I was like, yo, you want to come to the game? I'm like, I'd rather watch on TV.
I could see somebody saying, I'm going to see Steph play tonight. I don't know if anybody has ever said to me, I'm going to see Buster Posey hit tonight.
Well, Lincecum was a thing.
Fine.
Lincecum was a tangible thing.
But that wasn't anything you could plan ahead for because you had to be within 2 or 3 days to even know if he was going to pitch.
It was Lincecum Day. Like, if you found out that day, we would have buddies like, hey, you want to go? Let's go. Let's go down there.
I've always just sort of felt like baseball was I'm going to the Giants game.
They also had the unique sport of bonds. But they had bonds, which was different. Totally different.
You got
that was 20 years.
Mark. You're going to the Giants game, and like my girl she wants to go on Sunday. Let's go to a Giants game. I'm like, all right, fine. I'm sitting there like, oh boy, okay, Tim Anderson. Right? I'm like, Tim Anderson, great. I'll watch him.
My boys have never said anything to the point when I say, hey, you want to go to the Giants game Tuesday night? Yes. There's never a like, Dad, there's nobody to see. There's nobody I care about.
Those are kids, though. I mean, that's an unfair metric.
Well, but that's what we're
You're
talking
the one
about.
Who's shelling out the dough.
Hold on a
You're
second.
driving
It's an
them down.
unfair
They
metric.
get all the free food.
That's all I hear. Oh, we're trying to attract the kids. Who's the jersey?
Grow the game.
I don't care who the 58-year-old jersey wants to buy. Get a T-shirt and move on with your life. But if we're talking about kids here and attracting them to the game, I don't hear them worry about that.
So it's because they're kids. They're down to go to a game.
But they also attach themselves to players overnight.
Sure.
Yes. They love
but who are they attaching themselves
they love
to?
Slater.
No one.
They love
a guy who's pitching every 5th day and a guy who just retired.
I'm telling you,
how many
love
Tyro
him.
Estrada jerseys are out there?
Love him. Love him.
Yeah. Of course.
They take one game to look, and they're like, if that guy hits a home run, they'll love him all year.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Well,
I don't know.
It's interesting because I'm doing a lot of Little League and stuff, and I'm asking all the kids, like, who are your favorite players? And it's never a Giant, right? And I'm like, okay, that's fine, but who are the guys? Shohei, Trout, like the standardized answer.
Sure.
If you'd asked that same question 6-7 years ago, I think it would have all been what? Posey, Bumgarner, Kane, Lincecum.
Another thing too, I brought this up to Shask and I asked him this. Baseball's different. You just had the Tampa Bay Rays situation where 4 pitchers decided not to wear the Pride uniforms and they want to wear the Pride logo on their jersey. Is that an issue with players come to the Giants in baseball? Because as Nick Friedel said, there's a lot more red and blue when it comes to baseball.
Right.
Is that an issue?
Because
the park is playing fair. Guys are hitting home runs at the park. I don't want to hear about the park.
I heard you
being an
earlier on
issue.
this very topic, and it's a number of different factors. If you're a guy who doesn't necessarily agree with how things are run out here in San Francisco, then you're not going to come out here.
You're never going to consider.
You're not going to feel comfortable.
I agree with that.
And that's the nature of all sports, and that's, in this broken, fractured country, there are enough people who are interested in California, the higher taxes, the liberal politics. I don't think that it precludes you from getting anyone you want to get.
Gotcha.
I mean, no more than it would the other way, too.
Yeah.
Right? Like you're a
no
ball
one's
player.
coming here straight because of that.
Like
because of that, no
Kyle
doubt.
Harrison and Aaron Judge, who grew up in, not that they were necessarily Bay Area proper, or who knows what their politics are, but if you grew up out here, you're like, I'm not going to play in Florida.
Right.
Wackadoodle out there.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. You know what I mean? I guarantee you this. And he who shall not be named, Mr. Former Giant politics guy who we don't like to talk about, has said this a number of times, which is you'd be very uncomfortable, most likely, having a political conversation with almost, if you are Bay Area, whatever, paint with a broad brush, you'd be very uncomfortable having a conversation in a baseball clubhouse. Absolutely. Absolutely. And when Gabe Kapler's your manager, would some people not want to be a part of that? I bet. I bet more would want to be a part of a team, though, that has shown they can turn you into a very, very
that's the
right.
Thing. I can make more
they've
money.
created contracts for guys.
Yes.
Where's Kevin Gosman from?
He was a first-round pick for the Baltimore Orioles,
right? But
number 2 overall.
But where did he grow up?
Oh, I have no idea.
Well, I know he went to LSU for college.
Right.
I have no idea.
I'm not sure if he grew up in Louisiana.
So I don't want to put any.
He loved it here, though.
He did. Okay, that's right. Colorado. He grew up in. So I have no idea what Kevin's politics are. But I bet he's willing, whatever they are, to put them aside because he's like, the Giants turned me into a $100 million
and it's a
pitcher.
pitcher park too there. It's a great park to pitch in.
Bumgarner's from the middle of a farm, and but he would have loved to have stayed here. I think, by all accounts, you know what I mean. Everybody's from what he said, he'd love to have stayed here. So
they got out underneath that at the perfect time.
He's having a better year, but you are right.
I mean, he's not the same Bumgarner. He's not worth $20 million a year. That's for sure.
I wonder if he'll be on the move. How active do you think the Giants will be at this deadline?
I think they'll be very active. I don't know.
Rental?
Is it guys like, I was talking to Lubman yesterday, a guy like Nathaniel Lowe from the Texas Rangers. Now we're getting deep into baseball. First baseman, 26 years
That'll
old.
Keep him.
But he has, right? He just, it feels like.
Is he Rob Lowe's brother?
No, he's not Rob Lowe's brother. This is why Chasky, you got to broaden your brush. I thought you were the baseball guy, man. Come on, man. Texas Rangers, man. Nathaniel Lowe's having a great month of June, but a cheap roster move like that where he's got arb years, he's 26 years old, he's making like $700,000. I'm saying, you could say any player, but a guy like that, it feels like Farhan will go after instead of a guy like Juan Soto. And I know I love Stan Dibley. He's like, Nathaniel Lowe, who?
Well, I mean,
come on, baby. Let's
go. Actually, that's the kind of thing.
Let's go. Trade deadline in 5 weeks. Let's lock in on Nathaniel Lowe.
I think they'll be active, but I don't know that necessarily. Last year that was a thing. It was like the Dodgers did what they did. Well, you better get somebody, not just somebody, but there has to be almost like a name value pop.
Right.
And they waited until there were 3 seconds left, and they got Chris Bryant. I don't know if that guy exists this year.
I don't know.
And I don't know.
Wilson Contreras is the guy that they would need, but I don't know if he resonates like that even remotely.
I don't know if that's enough.
They need a catcher. They need an everyday catcher.
They need a catcher, but is that the biggest need?
They're funny.
Starting pitching's the biggest need.
Yeah, bullpen's a need. Outfield's a need. Defense is a need. They need everything.
They got like 7 outfielders.
They need everything, but they also need
they're
nothing.
Not good, Shasky.
Like, that's the weird thing about them.
You have 7 outfielders because you don't have any good outfielders.
Jock's an all-star, and Luis Gonzalez was having an unbelievable
2 outfielders out of 7.
No,
and Wade is about to be. Don't forget Wade now. What do you want? What's wrong? Why is that a laugh?
Because he hasn't played.
Right, he's about to be activated.
2 games.
Availability is the number one ability, and
I know,
he has not played.
But if he's
it's like being a Brandon Belt stockholder.
But that's
Good
why,
God.
That's why I say they need everything, and yet they need nothing because they don't. If you just let's go acquire. This is why they traded Steven Duggar, because they didn't have a 40-man roster spot for him, and they don't want to give up any of these guys that they still value, Lamont Wade being one of them.
So you think that Lamont Wade is going to repeat what he did last year in a 4-month flash?
It doesn't matter what I think. They're not getting rid of him.
I know.
He's going to be a player when he's ready to go, so you can't just go acquire. What are you going to do with these other pieces that you cannot option out? You cannot release them. You don't want to let them go. What do you do?
Right.
And so that's,
you stick and stay with guys you know, and you win 90 games and you lose in the first round of the playoffs.
We'll see.
Yeah, we will.
I mean,
if you're looking to upgrade at the trade deadline, I think the outfield is definitely a part of it because I don't have any faith that Lamont Wade Jr. can get healthy and be the player that he was last year.
Gonzalez be the player he was before the back injury.
Lamont's spot and Gonzalez's spot are actually what we're talking about is right-handed hitters, not left-handed hitters.
Yeah, we need righties.
They're fine in the outfield with their left-handed hitters, especially when those guys are back.
They're redundant, if anything.
Yeah, they
need a third baseman. They need a first baseman.
Can the shortstop stay healthy? Well, is the first baseman?
Are you sold on second base with Estrada and LaStella?
Well,
a second base is like my 7th most important position right now that I'm worried about.
I'm fine with Estrada.
Yeah, Estrada's been fine.
Does LaStella play in the field anymore?
He has not. When was the last time he took a ground ball.
Which is a
sack.
problem. By
And
the
now
way,
he's your DH.
Your DH is a
this
punch and Judy guy?
This is well, not only that, but this is low key one of the reasons. This is the
Yes.
trickle down effect that's making their defense so bad.
I'm with you
Is
there.
because if he's your DH, now somebody needs to be in the field that was supposed to be your DH,
Darren Ruff
like a
or-
Ruff or
yeah.
a Peterson, and off we go, and the whole thing trickles down, and your defense is one of the worst in baseball.
Yeah, it's a problem.
So
Who's that guy we need to get, Bonte?
Matthew
Daniel
Wolf.
Lowe. Daniel Lowe.
Daniel
baby.
Daniel
Lowe.
Lowe.
Yeah.
Hey, I didn't say
I'm
not
already
get him,
the
but
guy
I'm
that's
looking
been
at a
yelling
guy
about
like that.
stars. Now you're going to acquire someone no one's ever heard
Because
of.
I'm trying to think like Farhan.
But hey, but this is the point. And I played this game a little bit with Dibs yesterday. If you look, I went top 30 OPS in baseball. How many of them are household names? Maybe half.
For
Maybe
qualified
half.
at bats?
Qualified at bats, top 30
Interesting.
OPS. I bet I could get 7 or 8 of them
Well,
at least where you don't even know what team they play
Well, I'll
for.
go 2 of the top 5 has got to be Goldschmidt, Aaron Judge.
Well, yeah,
Those are the 2 MVP candidates.
But I'm talking about how many players on that list you've never even heard of. So the point is, how many real stars are there in baseball?
I think there's a ton. I mean, I'm
You think
watching
so?
this.
I just don't think baseball
O'Neal
markets
Cruz
are
is balling
yeah,
right
players
now.
I got
That's the
about
problem.
20.
I was going to
What's the
say
name you
closer
just
to
brought up?
5.
Cruz?
O'Neal Cruz. Do you know how many people know who that is?
He's literally been on the television
I know.
for 2 weeks
Joe,
straight.
I know. but-
O'Neal Cruz
but we
sounds
were-
like it's a surf company.
He's 6'7", is going to be
Great.
the next star
Do you
of
know-
the Pittsburgh
Okay,
Star-
next
Pirates.
star. You realize that to be a star, you have to be somebody
I
who
understand
resonates
that.
with the casual
Yeah.
people.
I understand what
Joe,
you're
like,
saying.
You go outside
Watch
on
the games.
Embarcadero today. It's not me watching the games, Joe. Go down to Embarcadero and shout the name O'Neal Cruz and see what happens.
I mean,
Bobby
that-
Witt Jr.
Thank
is
you.
going to be Rookie of the Year this year at some. He's
He's not a star.
Oh, okay,
but
I
we-
get what you're saying. I'm talking about. He's talking about rising
So
stars.
I'm looking at
That's
the
what
top.
talking
I'm
about.
looking at some of the names here. Paul Goldschmidt.
Has been a
Alejandro
star for a
Kirk,
while.
Toronto. All right, so Paul
Thank
Goldschmidt's
you.
number
Alejandro
1.
Kirk.
Jordan Alvarez,
Is a
fourth.
monster. Just signed a
Manny
$300
Machado
million,
fifth.
$200 million
But you
Xander-
work in sports radio.
Exactly.
Xander
You
Bogaerts.
totally-
He was in the playoffs
You don't
3 years in a
understand
row.
what you're
Bogaerts,
talking
JD
about,
Martinez,
Joe.
Josh Bell, Mike Trout, Rafael Devers, Freddie Freeman,
These
Jose
are-
Ramirez,
these are not,
Bryce Harper.
No, we're using the word star, Joe. Is all
Jose
I'm saying.
Ramirez just
You're
got a
talking about
$200 million
household
deal.
names.
Right, and
Jose
and
Ramirez
his-
is a stud.
Yes,
Right.
It's a
well, I'm
stud.
not. I'm
Like,
not
but is
talking
he a
about-
star?
But Alejandro Kirk. How many people
one knows
even
him.
know
No one-
who
yeah,
he
nobody
plays
knows.
for?
Exactly.
Okay?
Nobody knows who that is.
And
That's also
I
a
did
baseball
that-
problem
I
for not
did-
marketing
right.
their
Totally
players.
That I agree
baseball's
with.
I
problem.
did this with Steiny yesterday. Andrew Vaughn. Do you know who that is?
It's Lindsey's
With the cow,
brother.
right?
What's
With
that?
the cow.
Yeah, he was a
No
number 1
clue.
overall pick. Yeah.
Yeah, and do you know who he plays for?
It
White
was
Sox.
with the White Sox.
Yeah, no, yes, he still is. He's
Okay,
coming,
he's with the White
he's coming
Sox.
this weekend.
Yeah.
How many people have even heard
Him
of
and
him?
Abreu were splitting time at first base.
You know, Luis Arias, who might win a batting title. Do
Dansby
you know-
Swanson, we've known about him for a long time. 25th year.
Right.
He's having a big year.
But
for
none
the
of
But
these
Braves.
again,
guys are stars.
Dansby Swanson
They're
is
not
not a guy who
stars.
resonates outside of the micro world of sports fandom, sports super fandom, and that's to your point,
But
Bonte.
if you're using that
that's where
metrics, then only
baseball
Steph Curry's a
is
star.
the biggest problem that they're having is that baseball doesn't have that crossover appeal,
Yep.
and that is their problem.
Yep.
And the NBA has at least 24 guys who you've heard of
that's
and you've
'cause-
seen.
yeah.
They market them, and it's this player versus that player. If you have Sunday Night Baseball, it's not don't miss Mike Trout going up against
Vladdy Guerrero Jr. is on your TV right now. He's only been in the league, I think, 2 full seasons.
But
everyone knows who he
his
is.
name because you know his dad's name.
For sure, but we know who Fernando Tatis Jr. is, and his dad wasn't
Same
that
thing,
great.
but
He
his
wasn't that
dad
great.
was a
Well, but
player,
he's-
at least
he's
I
a
know.
superstar.
He's a star.
Yeah.
Like he's got
Mookie
that
Betts
thing.
is a
He's
star.
got that quality.
You know,
yes,
like,
there are
I
stars.
think this is more an
I
indictment.
just think there's only about 15. I think it's about
Okay,
15.
then that
At
I
the
would agree
most.
with.
I think there's 15.
Yeah.
I
But that's still
I
a
stand
lot.
closer to 5.
Okay,
It's more
but-
than hockey.
But so that means you got half a star per team.
But you're comparing yourself
Per
to
team.
hockey, and that's
That's
the
where
sad
they're
part.
at.
That
On
is
the,
the
that's where
sad
they're
part.
at on the pecking
know,
order, though.
You got
guys.
more stars in the Premier League than you do baseball,
Oh,
Major
that's
League
not
Baseball?
even close. I was thinking MLS might be a better comparison for
Wow.
MLB.
Damn,
can't
I
even
couldn't
name one.
I couldn't do that.
Yeah, I know, and that's more me playing, personal shots. But the Premier League's got way more stars than Major League Baseball,
I don't know.
and that would resonate with kids here in America.
But kids play video games, and MLB The Show is one of the most popular video games. And collecting these cards, which you're talking about,
right.
is massive.
But you get what they get to do, and I wonder how many of our listeners know this. If you're a parent of a teenager, maybe you do.
Skins.
But like you're allowed to build that team
Yes.
with players from now, players
Or
from
from back in the day, yep.
1992. Like you have any star who's ever played. Like
It
my
is cool.
son
Yep.
sat there with me in the car just a couple days ago and goes, "Dad, I got an opportunity. What should I get? Should I get Logan Webb or John Smoltz?" I'm like, I don't know how to answer this question.
get
bud.
John
Like,
John Smoltz.
Yeah.
Well, I said
150 wins,
I go-
150
I
he
saves.
can start, he can close.
Yeah, come on.
It's easy. See,
Him and
really-
Eckersley, the
that's
only
not
two
the
guys
point
in
of what I
history
was
to do
bringing
that.
up. But yes, I go John Smoltz unless you want to, go with your heart with the Giants, then you can go Logan. But that's not my point. My point is MLB The Show has built a situation where you're allowed to take decades and decades of names and learn the history of the game and all of that and all that. You can't do that right now. You got 15 stars, and so that's half a star per team, and you're going to yell if your team doesn't have 3 of them? Well, I mean, like the Yankees have that, the Dodgers have that, and the Angels have sort of accidentally got that, and no one else has got that.
Well, but the guys in your division, the guys in your division are 2 of the teams that have those.
Austin Riley, Ronald Acuna Jr., Albies.
I think Ronald Acuna Jr. I think he's the only one that fits your definition.
He was mic'd up at the All-Star game with Buck. He was great.
Albies got a lot of drip.
You can talk about great, and then you can talk about star. There's all kinds of people producing that aren't stars. Not a star. Okay.
Been one of the best baseball players since last June.
Yes, and how many people know Austin Riley? Well, if he were in this room right now, would you be like, holy hell, there's Austin Riley? Or would you be like,
sad.
Wow, look at that guy.
That's an indictment on Major League Baseball.
He's 6'3". You wouldn't, yes.
That's terrible.
Well, but it's a regional sport. And so that's the challenge.
So to get your region involved, you need to get some stars. Because this region right now is not in on the Giants. They're not. The numbers show that. The attendance show that. The play on the field shows that.
I don't know if the region is out.
Tiffany's watching MLS games instead of Reds Giants.
That's one
I'm watching
person.
College World Series.
Yeah, but it's
Little
not
League World Series coming up.
The region's not out. They're just not as in as they used to be, and that's an issue.
Are you in on John Wall going to the Clippers?
I love what you said last night. The more I watch, and by the way, can the world thank Kyrie for being so different? Yeah. Thank you for being the only person who wouldn't turn down $37 million to take 6. You're so different, Kyrie. As all these teams shuffle their decks, I love, and I think the Warriors should market this next year. Run it back.
Run it back.
Run it back, because the more they shuffle, and they're going to all have to get to know each other, the continuity the Warriors have, I'm not scared of any of them.
Well, John Wall needs the ball in his hands. But so does Kawhi, so does Paul George, so does Reggie Jackson.
John Wall. Are we scared of John Wall?
I mean, Kawhi might not play till February, so that's fine. You take Kawhi out of it.
Wow, really? That long?
I mean, no one has shut it down like Kawhi Leonard has. He took a 73-game powder based on neuropathy from San Antonio, went and won a chip, goes to the Clippers, shuts it down for what? Did he miss all 82 last year?
Yeah, he didn't even show up.
I mean, how many games do you think he'll play this year, honestly?
And he only played like 60 in the regular season of the year with Toronto, right? I think it was 60.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah,
I mean,
why play if you have a guaranteed deal and you're already a made man, 2 chips in 2 different cities, and an MVP? Why play?
Eating a bag of apples at a dinner.
He's chilling. Kawhi,
totally,
man.
he's chilling. John Wall's got a lot to prove. So now John Wall, Paul George will be out there playing hard.
Is John Wall a star?
When have you ever had the story involve the word buyout and then the very next year, and then led him to a ring? I ain't scared of John Wall.
Had a great reclamation project after getting bought out, but he's not leading them.
John
to a
Wall
ring.
more of a star than any of those nameless guys you were rattling off in baseball.
He's been terrible for like 6 years.
Doesn't matter. NBA knows how to make you feel.
He's more recognizable than Austin Riley.
There's no doubt about that. There's no doubt about that. But it starts in college too. I think baseball, we don't get to know these players in college or in high school. We've seen John Wall since Kentucky playing with DeMarcus Cousins and Eric Bledsoe.
Well, basketball, we've probably fallen into
players.
We're comparing basketball to baseball a little bit too often in this entertainment conversation. It's not. It's just different. It's just different. John Wall in a hat.
A secret 4? What's that, Dibs?
I told him we're going to take this to 37, not 27.
No, we're taking it to 27. We're good. I'm getting out of here.
Maybe 11:07.
Yeah, we're gone.
Hang out, guys. This is fun.
Guru should be walking in right about now.
I think he just did.
Coming in at 5'4".